after the event. Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our seminar. My name is Karolina Wojciechowska, and I'm honored to be coordinator of the project Urban Regulations and Political Memory Towards Understanding Spatio-Temporal Aspects of Urban Development Plus, with acronym UNRED Plus, under 4EU Plus Alliance. This is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this seminar. The 4EU Plus European University Alliance is a transnational strategic association of 8 large public European universities. The Alliance vision is to create one comprehensive research-intensive European university through a new quality of cooperation in teaching, education, research, and administration. You can find more information about Alliance under this link. Our UNRED Plus project was awarded in the SEED 4EU Plus competition. The project aims to maintain, strengthen, and expand existing cooperation between 4 universities: Charles University, University of Milan, Sorbonne University, and University of Warsaw. The project includes extended teaching activities as well as new scientific activities conducted by team members, who you can see here on slide. In teaching activities course, one of the project elements, it concerns changes in the condition of the urban development of cities in Poland, Italy, and Czechia, according to the dimension past, present, and the future. And our objectives in this project includes expanding cooperation, collaboration with practitioners through workshops and seminars, and disseminating the outcomes of the project through new communication routes. Under this link, you can find such new communication routes, our completely new website of the project, and I'd like to really thank to Mrs. Katarzyna Ścierańska from Polish office of 4EU Plus for creating this website. The seminar, Urban Planning and Development, Looking for the Bridge Between Science and Practice, is one of the elements of project activities. During the seminar, we will examine spatial planning from different perspectives, geographical and legal, in 3 countries: Czechia, Italy, and Poland. We will refer to metropolitan areas, decision-making, and legal basis for spatial planning. A characteristic feature of our project is the interdisciplinary and international approach to this issue. We have an exceptional panel of speakers, team members, and experts from practice. Each speech will last about 15 minutes, and we will have Q&A session at the end of the meeting. All the questions can be proved by chat function. Please put them there, not waiting to the end of the panel. Let me now thanks to the panelists for giving us the honor and pleasure of being with us today. Dear audience, thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you to those who are here with us now, and to those who are watching this recording. We will begin with a presentation by Professor Martin Ouředníček from Charles University in Prague in Czechia, Faculty of Science, Department of Social Geography and Regional Development, member of UNRED Plus team, also Vice Dean for Geographic Department and Head of Urban and Regional Laboratory. Martin is an urban geographer. The second speaker will be Zdeňka Havlová from Prague Institute of Planning and Development, our external experts, the head of the Office for City Analysis, lecturer of Urban Design Tendencies at the Faculty of Architecture of Czech Technical University of Prague. She is an architect, and her research interests include multi-level pedestrian urbanization and public space. And thank you very much for accepting the invitation to the seminar. Next, we will have the pleasure of listening to Elisabetta Romani, Ph.D., postdoctoral fellow at the University of Milan, Faculty of Law, Department of Italian and Supranational Public Law, member of our Unread Plus team. Elisabetta is also professor of administrative law at Bocconi University. She is a lawyer who specializes in administrative law and procedure, environmental law, and sustainability. And our final speaker will be me, Karolina Wojciechowska, Ph.D. from University of Warsaw, Faculty of Law and Administration, Department of Administrative Law and Procedure. I'm also a lawyer, and my research focuses on administrative law and procedure, special planning, construction law, and climate change. I also practice as an attorney in the Warsaw Bar Association. It is time to give now a floor to Martin Ouředníček for his presentation of regional planning in Prague metropolitan area, some perceived legal shortcomings. Martin, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will just share my screen with the presentation. Hopefully everything will go smoothly. So I'm today with a special position because I'm the only geographer at the conference or seminar, and from the Department of Social Geography and Regional Development. So maybe my introductory lecture will be a bit different than more legal or legislative approaches, but I tried to focus during my presentation to some legal shortcomings or my perception of legal shortcomings, especially focused on Prague metropolitan area, which is my living laboratory of research. And I prepare an abstract for the webinar, and basically first part will be a critical perspective, or my own critical perspective on development of planning and on the role of different actors, I mean different let's say spatial levels or hierarchical levels. I will start with Prague itself, but mainly focused on the outer parts of the city, and then I'd like to go beyond the administrative boundaries of Prague and say several things about municipalities with suburban development. And then at the end, and it will be my 9th slide, so I prepared 10 slides with some conclusion and maybe also some connection to theoretical concepts. First, what is maybe general, and I also presented it during the workshop of the course, that after the Velvet Revolution, we changed quite a lot of the system of planning in Czech Republic, and basically we have something like hierarchy of planning documents on the national level, we have so-called spatial development policy, which is the most general document on the level of Ministry of Regional Development. And then what could be perceived as regional, because my presentation should be focused on regional planning, not master planning per se, but mostly regional, are these principles of spatial development. And basically these documents are master plans or spatial plans of regions, self-governed regions. And you can see in the mid that there are new, from 2000, new regions, so-called kraje, and all of them have a special document for master planning. And then the last level of this hierarchy are more than 6,000 of individual master plans, sometimes of very, very small municipalities. If we can compare the size of municipalities, for example, in Poland, so I think that there is no municipality with less than 5,000 of people. And in Czechia, there are a lot, maybe hundreds of them with less than 1,000. So this is a very, very fragmented settlement structure in Czechia. And unfortunately, we have nothing like metropolitan plans or plans which were focused on delimited areas with some functional delimitation like national parks or metropolitan region. We have nothing like that. So this is basically the general system, and you can see that the last picture, there are municipalities in Czechia, which is very, very fragmented. Then when we focus more on the comparison of two these regional units, these KRAI, this region. So on the picture on the right-hand side, there are two administrative units, Central Bohemian region, and in the middle there is Prague as, again, one specific autonomous, very autonomous spatial unit, Prague, the capital city of Prague. And this is maybe one thing, or the first thing, which we can criticize, because the purpose for the delimitation of two separate self-governed regions was practical reasons for EU funding. And now, when we compare, for example, South Moravian region and Brno, and cooperation of these two units, I think it's much more useful, this cooperation and from practical point of view than this separation of Prague and Central Bohemia region. And it has a lot of negative consequences. For a long time, there were, for example, different political parties. There are different planning authorities, and especially it has very, let's say, negative consequences of planning outside Prague. Because if Prague has a very nice institution and very well recognized institution of Institute Planning and Development, which will be then presented after, so no comparable body was developed in Central Bohemia region, where also the dynamic of suburban municipalities are of great importance. So from the legal point of view, if we can focus on the legislative, so from the legal point of view, especially planners and officers and administrative body repeat again and again that they can't legally overstep the administrative boundary of Prague. And what is one of the consequences that new master plan, so-called metropolitan plan Prague, there are almost no notions about connectivity between central Bohemia and Prague, and this is really something what is probably not possible from the legal point of view. But if we should speak about regional development, so you can see on the map on the right-hand side that metropolitan region, this is in this orange color, is much wider than Prague municipality itself, and it creates a lot of problems, especially in regional and master planning. And one more thing is that there's quite a lack of horizontal, not only horizontal control, so something like cooperation of municipalities, of individual municipalities, but there is also lack of this vertical control. So no much control from the point of view of Central Bohemia region of individual municipalities. Then 2 slides about Prague, but I believe that Zdeňka will speak more in detail about this. So this is something like perception of more, let's say, non-technical and non-legal person. So as I said, we have very nice Institute of Planning Development, and there are not only economists and lawyers and architects, but a lot of geographers. Some of them are GIS specialists, and some of them, including the head of the body, is a social geographer. So we are lucky also to collaborate. But on the other hand, there are very, I would say, difficult role, especially during the creation of the 2 documents, because Prague is not only a municipality, and Prague is also a region. So Prague has 2 different documents, and I was honored to evaluate, let's say, the quality or the purpose of the metropolitan plan during the first, let's say, first draft of the project, if it is according to principle of regional development, let's say, consistent, or if there are differences. And we went through all the documents, and I must say that there are very huge differences, because principles of regional development traditionally more protect the city center. They more pronounce polycentric approach. On the other hand, I think the main idea of today's metropolitan plan is so-called densification. And as I said, much less attention to metropolitan, to regional development are within the metropolitan plan. When we look into the administrative division of Prague, it is again very interesting topic for social geography and urbanism. And we have 57 boroughs, so it means that we have 57 mayors, we have 57 budget, and partly these independent administrative units have responsibilities also for housing policy. They have very different approach, for example, in case of privatization, and partially also planning. I don't mean now the improvement of master plan, which is in competence of the capital city, but the process of improvement or approval of individual projects. And on the right-hand side, we produced together with my colleague Zuzana Kopecka some evidence of approved project from the point of view of so-called Department of Territorial Development, which is a specific body of the municipal park or city park Prague 11, and it has quite a substantial role while they improve the realization of individual project. And you can see on the map that there are many of them which were cancelled and not constructed. So this is one thing. And another very important in the process of spatial planning is more and more participation of different bodies. Sometimes it creates a lot of problems, as in case of approval of metropolitan plan. Sometimes this public interest and I would say vox populi are quite effective. For example, in case of protest against some project and approval of some negative consequences of the project. The last slide on the Prague level, it's something what seems very similarly like old maps when we study old maps and there are boundaries where nobody have ideas what's there. So this Latin sentence, hic sunt leones, so here are lions, is very proper, and this is not only case of the contemporary master plan, but also new master plan of Prague. So you can compare both of them, and area immediately beyond the city boundaries are exactly like lions, and we are afraid to do something there. Even the Prague Institute of Planning and Development is so, let's say, nice body, but they no interest to say something about suburban localities. And then the last part of my presentation is one slide about municipalities around Prague, and we use the term suburban kingdoms, and this is really something what is very autonomous. Regional planning is disappearing from this, and no coordination, not from the point of view of Prague, and in horizontal control, and sometimes to we can communicate between or among municipalities. Nothing happened, and you have this example which I also used during the course of Nupaki, which I think it is the worst master plan in Czechia, with huge development of the small tiny village with less than 100 people around Velvet Revolution, and now it's one of the most dynamic, not only residential development but also logistic and other things on the crossroad of highways. So commercialization of planning is something what is not true in Prague, because we have public institute, but what is really true in case of small municipalities. And I live in one such small municipalities, and there is limited possibilities or limited budget and financing for master plans. Nobody from the mayors, or some of the mayors are not willing to spend a lot of money for this document. So then as a consequence, there is also limited participation of specialized profession, not only geographers, but economists, lawyers, etc. And what is important is this rounded stamp of architect to have this document. And sometimes, from the legal point of view, some of ladies from this local building offices are afraid a lot from the decisions of Supreme Administrative Court, because there are a lot of localities which should disappear from the master plan, but sometimes they afraid and just do nothing. Okay, so the last slide of my presentation is something like conclusion, and maybe also a piece of theory. And I would like to use two theories and ask if planning is good or bad. So when we are speaking about planning, so this seminar, of course, we can answer this question that yes, we need some regional planning. But on the other hand, we have some experience with very nice theory, crystallar central places theory from the 30s, and socialist planners wanted to use it for central places settlement system strategy. But it has a huge impact on small municipalities in Czechia. Until now, there are a lack of public infrastructure, technical infrastructure, etc. And it really has or had a huge impact on settlement system. On the other hand, today we have something like uncoordinated contemporary regional development, especially in these dynamic suburban municipalities, and everyone criticizes. But from the point of view of like this Chicago School of Urban Ecology, we can ask if this competition or biotic level or only economic behavior is bad or good, because on the other hand, we have younger population there, we have new houses, we have new schools, we have new services. So is it better than during socialism or worse? Okay, and the last, so this is something like provocation of discussion, of course, and the last thing what I think is needed for especially Central Bohemia region is something like more coordinated regional planning, either from the point of view of Institute of Planning and Development, which should be body which can coordinate Prague metropolitan region, or maybe someone from the region. But this discussion must be or should be also open for wider audience, and especially universities and other profession than architects. So it's my conclusion. Thanks for attention, and I'm looking forward for discussion at the end of the seminar.
Thank you, Martin, very much for your presentation. Now we have pleasure to have with Zdeňka Havlová, who will give a presentation about spatial planning in Czechia, analysis as a basis for decision making. Zdeňka, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Karolina. Let me start sharing my presentation. Okay, can you see the presentation, please?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Hello, and thank you very much for the invitation to be part of this seminar. My name is Zdeňka Havlová, and I would like to talk to you about spatial planning in Czechia, analysis as basis for decision making. I am a part of the Prague Institute of Planning and Development, which Martin has discussed already in his presentation a little bit. So let me just say a few things about the institute, what it is. It is a municipally funded institute which is in charge of the policymaking for urban architecture, planning, development, design, and so on. The main topics and main things that we are responsible for are, of course, the land use plan or the master plan, both the current one and its updates and the upcoming one, which is now under the development. But we are also in charge of strategic planning, also some smaller designs of public spaces, architectural competitions, green infrastructure topics, and geographic data. We are the body in charge of geographic data for the city of Prague, and also analytical materials and analyses. Our institute also has a Center for Architecture and Metropolitan Planning. It's a public place, a sort of like an exhibition and event space where we try to give information to the public about what's going on in urban planning and strategic planning and urban design. Now, let me tell you about the department that I had. It's called the Office for City Analysis, and we have 10 plus members. And I'm very lucky to have a mix of architects, geographers. I have an environmental engineer, social geographer among my colleagues. And together we work on several different areas. We do analyses, prognoses, we discuss data and monitoring of the territory, also with our colleagues who are responsible for the data from technical perspective. And we also try to communicate the results of what we do. because we're finding out that without the proper communication and channels, it's very difficult to actually have people base their decisions on your analyses. Now, a few words about urban planning in Prague. As Martin has already introduced, the urban planning is quite specific for Prague and its regions. Let me say one more time that Prague is also a region as well as a municipality, which creates a whole bunch of problems. But we also have the legal perspective of establishing the urban planning in building law. And I'm not sure if you have seen some of the ratings, but the process of building anything in the Czech Republic is very, very long and difficult. It's very complex, and it requires a lot of stamps from all different departments all around the town. Now we are in the process of digitalization and hopefully streamlining this process by changing the building law, but it's still a long, long process ahead of us. Also, one more thing, which I think creates a bit of problems, is that while urban planning is well established in the legislature, it's not the same case with strategic planning. There are no specific requirements as there are for master plans, for example, which creates a sort of a difficult relationship between strategic and urban planning from not only the design perspective of these documents, but also from the implementation perspective of these documents. The three main actors, as I see them in Prague, dealing with urban planning, is the institute that I'm a part of. We are responsible for the things that I introduced. Also, we do official statements regarding new development for the city of Prague. We are their representative. The Prague City Hall is a contracting authority for the spatial documents as well as the strategic documents. And also Prague municipalities or the city districts, as those that Martin mentioned, they have their own building authorities and departments of spatial development. And now, how do we decide the future development of the city? Well, in my department and in our institute, we believe that the analysis can ensure that urban planners, but also city officials and politicians have the best possible knowledge and tools to make sensible and sustainable decisions. So this is where we see the relationship between research and analysis and the practice in the case of our institute. And I would like to talk to you about two specific projects that we do that explore this kind of relationship and tell you a little bit about how they do it. The first one is planning analytical materials. What is it? These are spatial and statistical data and analytical materials. So data, text, their analyses, statistical data, all the things. And the main outcome of this project is an analysis of sustainable development of the region. The goals are to analyze the current state of Prague area, the development of the state, also what is valuable, what needs to be protected, what are some of the land use limits we cannot cross, what are the intentions for change, and what are some of the problems to be solved in the area. And based on these that we find out in these materials, other people and other documents should answer, for example, these problems to be solved. So if we find some problems that need to be solved in the area, the master plan should be able to answer in its design those issues that we have raised in this material. Let me put it in the context of the Czech legislature. So there is the building law. It has an implementation regulation which tells us what is the required content of the planning materials. And it's given topic by topic, and it's not really well detailed. So a lot of it is up to those who are creating these documents. And for Prague, as you can imagine, we have very different requirements of knowledge than a small municipality of, several thousand people. What is important is that there is no official approval necessary for these documents. It's kind of understandable, you know, it's the current state, there is nothing to agree on, it's just the way things are. And then there is the role of the municipality, in this case Prague. It is required to update these materials regularly, every 4 years based on the current legislature. So who uses these materials? It's used for spatial and strategic planning of Prague, also for professional activity of public institutes such as ours, municipal institutions, and the private sectors such as developers. And also it's used profoundly for official statements regarding new urban development. These are done by my institute, but also by departments in the individual city districts and also at the Prague City Hall. And the contents are various. We try to have content from many different topics, from landscape through land use, economy, green, transport, infrastructure, public amenities, all the way to analyzing what is valuable needs protection, how is the current urban planning implemented, and at the end, as I said, is the sustainable development analysis, which puts it all together. A little note to what Martin was talking about is that, yes, we are required to only do this material within the boundaries, the administrative boundaries of the city of Prague. But both this document and the land use plans have a part of them which is called wider context. And in our project, it's the second one from the left, metropolitan region, where we try to put the topics in the context of the surrounding areas. We have the context of the Central Bohemian region, of the Republic, and also of Europe. But it is true that the main focus is always on the boundaries of Prague. And when it comes to the land use plan or the master plan, we cannot make regulations or designs outside of the boundaries of the municipality that this document is prepared for. So it can pose a challenge. I absolutely agree. And now this project is available to anyone who needs it online. It's a website called the Prague Planning Analytical Materials Portal. And that's where we try to introduce all that we have gathered, the data with the text. The text is really important to us because nowadays you see a lot of data, but the challenge is to understand it well and to actually understand what it means. So we try to help people with that. We introduce data in a synthetic manner together so that it's better to interpret from all different areas and topics. We have also created a database of statistical data, metrics, and indicators, both for the city of Prague as a whole, and also for those individual city districts. There are 57 of them in Prague. And now, the second project that I wanted to discuss is population and amenities projections. In this project, we deal with public amenities. Public amenities in the Czech Republic, apart from the pink one, shops, which is mostly provided by private providers, has to be to some degree or fully provided by the public sector. So it is a topic. It is definitely a topic for the administration of cities. And what we are trying to answer with our project is whether in the year 2050 or later, Prague is going to have enough amenities for its citizens. We look at it also from the point of view of Prague as a 15-minute city, because it's not enough that you have the amenities in certain area. There has to be the perspective of how long it takes people to get there. And it's not the same for every different type of amenity. So that's also the way we look at it. This project was assigned to us by the Prague City Council, and the main objective is to, based on population prognosis, analyze whether there are any future needs of selected types of public amenities, or deficits, or sometimes even overflows, if there are any. And it is a long-term project. We're required to update it annually. Currently, we are actually on our second update, which we will be publishing around the middle of this year. And we evaluate in 5 variations, and we look at 7 types of public amenities. The outcome of this project, the main one is a publication, which is available publicly to anyone. And also now we are building an interactive online dashboard where any municipality or any user can check out their area and see what the different deficits are for the specific public amenities. And how is this used? This project and its result is used by Prague municipalities and by Prague City Hall. And it should be an aid in finance allocation by the Department of Education and Youth. Also, there is a deputy mayor for development who is in charge of all urban planning of the city. And he is supposed to use this in planning of the public facilities in the whole city. It is a source material to monitor the condition for those districts themselves. And also there are other actors, including some development companies, publicly funded, that can use this material. Just to give you a short example of what it looks like, we have outcomes that show where there will be a lack of spots in kindergartens or in other amenities that we analyze. We also check whether people live close or far from the amenities based on walkable distance on a walking network. And one of the results, for example, can be, or is currently, that in 2050, we're going to be having a lot of problems when it comes to spots in kindergartens and elementary schools. A lot, as you can see in Prague. Now, what can the city do? Of course, first comes to mind, build new schools or reconstruct and augment the existing ones. And it is true that a lot of municipalities, the city districts, have plans to build new school facilities. And if they actually build them, it is going to alleviate the problem quite a lot. It might even solve the problem of elementary schools. But as always, what do we come to? Money. So as you can see, the purple part is the funds that are secured for the kindergarten building plans, and the gray funds that are not secured. And that's one of the challenges that Prague is facing when it comes to urban development, is that unlike the regions around it, it cannot access some of the funding opportunities, including those from European Union, just because it is the capital city and therefore is expected not to have these kind of issues. And to finish up my presentation, let me summarize. We can say that research, science, data is a legal requirement for urban planning and decision-making in Prague. It is established by law, but what is key, in my opinion, is non-enforceable. There are no requirements that you have to follow and you have to really do what this material does. We are not a regulatory documents. So what ends up happening is that other factors, often personal and political, are the drivers of change. Let me just briefly comment on what Martin was talking about, and that's the coordination of planning between the region of Prague and the region of Central Bohemia. My experience, well, at our institute, we completely agree, and we have been pushing for years to actually get these people to one table. But what we have seen is that if the politicians don't want to, it's not going to happen. So it often really comes to personal and political issues, which span several years, and then it all starts again and again and again. And any long-term collaboration can be very difficult. I also see challenges in the access and knowledge for those that should use it. We create the materials, but it's not often easy to get the people who should be basing their decisions on the data and analysis to actually use them. And as I have mentioned, there are many challenges in funding allocation and some of the legal requirements for new urban development. And that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. And if there are any questions or issues, please feel free to contact me at my email. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all these aspects and raising these interesting issues. I would like now give a floor to Elisabetta Romani, who introduced spatial planning in Italy, the legal perspective. Elisabetta, please.
Thank you, Carolina. I will start sharing my screen. Okay, here I am. So, okay, you should see my slide. Thank you very much, Carolina, for the organization. Thank you to Martin, my colleague, and thank you also to Zdeňka. I hope it's correct. I pronounce your name because I'm learning really a lot of interesting things. So thank you very much. I will start talking about law, even if also Martin said some interesting aspects regarding law in Czech Republic. So, spatial planning in Italy. I will divide my speech in 4 different points. First of all, we will analyze the constitutional framework and the allocation of powers between state and regions. Then we will see how it works, the town planning in Italy. Then I will say some little, a brief description of how it works, the administrative proceedings here in Italy in order to adopt a urban plan. And finally, we will see a little bit regarding how it works, the power of supervision and the judicial protection regarding town planning and also building law. That more or less, I think it's quite the same of what also Martin said. So first of all, the Italian constitutional law. Why it's so important? Because of course our constitution is the most important legal source in Italy. So we must always start from our constitution. The article which is important regarding the distribution of powers concerning town planning is Article 117. This article is important because it states generally the distribution of powers between a state and regions. Because of course we have some competencies which are only of the state, so of the state legislator. Then we have other competencies which are only for the region legislator. And then finally, and this is maybe the most difficult aspect, that we have some competencies which are concurrent. So, and of course, town planning and building of law, we will see that it's included in this list. And this means that we have the state, but also the regions, which together they try to discipline the sector. So regarding the concurrent legislative authority, we see that the land use planning is included in this list. What does it mean, concurrent legislation? This means that, first of all, the legislative power is attributed to the regions. But the state must determine the fundamental principles. So we have the states which stated which are the fundamental principles, and then each region must adopt a law which is in application of such fundamental principles. The first important issue regarding Article 117 was about the meaning of land use planning, because probably it's not easy in English, but in Italian, the Italian version of our constitution use this notion of land use planning that is not exactly the same of town planning and of building law. So we had two different theses, because one thesis taught that this land use planning was something different than town planning and building law. And why this is important? Because if town planning and building law are not included in land use planning, this would mean that town planning and building law are not some hypotheses of concurrent legislation, but only of regional legislation. So it was really an important aspect, no, because it wasn't clear who was the legislator, if it was only the regional legislator, or if there was also the role of the state. So in 2003, so not so time ago, we have two important judgments of the Italian Constitutional Court. In the first judgment, the Italian Constitutional Court declares that town planning is included in the concurrent legislator, even if it is not clearly stated. So this was the point, that anyway, the constitutional legislator was not so clear in the writing of the article. And then after, with another judgment, the Italian Constitutional Court stated that also building law is included in the land use planning. So now it's clear, we have no doubts, that town planning and building law are an hypothesis of concurrent legislative state and regions competencies. This means that the state must indicate the general principles, and then the regions must adopt the regional law regarding urban planning. And it's a concurrent legislative divisions of power. So this means that they are not, the state and the regions are not in a hierarchy relationship, but it's like an integration. So they are in the same levels, no? This means concurrent legislation. So the consequences of this the division of powers is that in Italy we have, like maybe also in Czech, quite a fragmentary regime regarding urban planning and building law. Why this? Because yes, the general principles are stated by the state, but they are only general principles. Then we have the regional legislation, but in Italy we have 20 regions. So we have 20 different regional legislation. Then there is also another level of legislature, which is the one written by the provinces. So we have also another less detailed regulation, which is stated by provinces. And in Italy, we have 110 provinces. So you understand how many different levels of sources of law we have in Italy. And then finally, the most important role, the most important actor regarding urban planning are the municipalities. Why? Because in Italy, the most detailed regulation is written and approved by the municipalities, which are 7,896 municipalities. Then I include this map. I hope that Martin will not laugh about me, that is Italy. And you can see that we have the different regions, which are the different area with different colors. And then inside you see that we have all these different provinces. And then of course, inside there are also the different municipalities. So the important idea is that we have a fragmentary regime. The idea of the legislator was to try to find a solution of this fragmentary regime using the subsidiarity principle, because the idea is that the municipalities are the most expertise, because they know their areas, and so they are the one who should introduce the regulation. So we have a regional planning. Of course, always remember that first of all we have the state with general principles, then we have the regional planning, which they include general indications, which must be subsequently implemented by the provinces and then by the municipalities. Then we have this intermediate planning hex. So the provinces can adopt these plans, these urban plans, which have the goal to try to coordinate all the different municipalities. And then finally, we have the most important law, which is the general regulatory plan. These are some plans which are adopted by municipalities. So I think that this is quite the opposite to what what you have here in Czech, because Martin said that you don't have municipality plans. He said in Italy the most important legal resource are these general regulatory plans. And so this is the most important law regarding town planning. And the general regulatory plans is used to regulate the use, the protection, but also the potential development of the municipality area. So it's important because the provisions which are included in this general regulatory plan can directly affect individuals. Instead, of course, all the other urban plans, the ones that are delivered by the regions and which are delivered by the provinces, they do not affect directly the individuals. Then inside this general regulatory plan is divided in different zones, and so the municipalities has the task to decide that a single area, I don't know, maybe can have the function regarding industrial function or agricultural function. So the municipality has the task to decide how to develop its area. And then it's also important, the general regulatory plan, because inside it you can find where public works have to be carried out. Moreover, we have also another kind of urban plans, which are the plans of private initiative. And these plans are quite important because in this kind of plans, the participation with privates is really strong, because you have like a dialogue between privates and also the municipalities. Of course, also these plans must be in compliance with the general regional plans. So the general regional plans is like the framework of urban planning in Italy, and this is totally in compliance with the subsidiarity principle. Then how it works, the administrative proceedings. This, of course, it's only a standard administrative proceeding, because, of course, we have different legislation. So maybe in another region, we can have a different administrative proceeding, but more or less, they are quite always the same. And the municipalities is the most important actor, as I said. because it must adopt the urban plan. Then we have a time after the adoption of the urban plan in which the individuals, privates, but of course also companies, they can submit their observation. So here we can see that the participation is after and is not during the first part of the administrative proceeding. Then, of course, the urban plan is approved, but in order to be approved, must be checked by the region. So we don't have a state control, but we have a regional control. Why this? Because we said at the first part that is a concurrent hypothesis. And then finally, of course, the urban plan is published, and so it enters into force. So really briefly, how it works, the power of supervision and also the judicial protection. So also regarding the power of supervision, we can see how it's important the role of municipalities in Italy, because the power of supervision is responsible of it only the municipalities. Then, like in Czech, but probably it's the same also in Poland, all the claims concerning urban planning and building permit, they must be presented in front of the administrative course. So it's something that concerning administrative law. So if you want to try to outline some conclusions, first of all, it's important to outline that in Italy, yes, we have this subsidiary principle, and on one hand, it's quite a positive aspect, no? Because surely the municipalities are the one that can know better which are the needs of their areas. Of course, on the other hand, we have also the negative aspect that we have a really fragmentary legal framework, and I hope that this was clear after my presentation. And this means that especially for investors, and especially for international investors, is not clear to understand which is the law that they must follow if they want to open, I don't know, like a mall in Lombardia, in Milan, or in Rome. Because yes, some principles are the same, but the discipline can be really different. And so this is quite a problem. And this is something interesting that, like in Czech, because Martin said this, we have this problem with the danger for local officers, that they are like afraid of a possible claims in front of the administrative course, but not only in front of the administrative course, because our officers are really afraid for the court of audit, that is like the most terrible authority for them. And this means that some administrative proceedings, they are really slow, no? And they don't decide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elisabetta, for your presentation. Let me now introduce myself to the content of spatial planning in Poland from the perspective of legal science. And during the speech, I'd like to focus on the principles of locating new building development, spatial planning in a community in previous and reformed order, and the decision on the condition of building and site development. The spatial development aspects is regulated in Poland by Act on Planning and Spatial Development. It's really crucial and the most important act. This act sets up the principle for developing spatial policy and land use development, taking the spatial order and sustainable development as the basis for action. Spatial order in this meaning is such configuration of space which creates a harmonious whole, and when it comes to sustainable development, is such social and economic development which maintain natural balance and durability of basis natural process. In spatial planning in Poland, the public interest is placed above the interest of individuals. The main principles of locating new buildings in Poland are minimalizing of transport intensity of the spatial system, allowing the use of public transport as the basic form of transport, providing easy access for pedestrians and cyclists, and complementing of the existing buildings and development of infrastructurally prepared land. The first condition concerns using transport as little as possible to serve public and industries. The second condition assumes that the primary form of transport is public transport. Public transport is more efficient, allows more people to be moved, and emits less carbon dioxide, especially rail transport, which is the most efficient. And this is particularly important as we face climate change. Here you can see the capacity of the different modes of transport, transporting 800 people, prepared by Foundation Procole. These infographics show greenhouse gas emission from transport, and rail here has an excellent track record, trains as well as subway. Providing easy access for pedestrians and cyclists is the third principle in our law. By walking and cycling, we are simply healthier. That we can see in the picture is the wrong direction. The fourth main principle of locating new buildings is attempting to plan and locate new development in already urbanized areas, and exceptionally in other non-urbanized areas. The point therefore is not to build in this way. All four principles are part of climate change action and really close to the 15 minutes city concept. In theory, our law, the Act, prevents urban sprawl. In practice, it looks, as you can see, different. Looking at our reality, the impression is that these principles mostly are not applied. Like in Czechia, in Poland, we have 3 levels of spatial planning. It means national, state, provincial, voivodeship, and local municipalities. The most important from the citizens' point of view is the level of local planning. The adopted system of spatial planning and development assigns the municipalities the primary role. The principle of the municipality's planning authority and its high degree of independence in the planning process is introduced in our regulations. It is important to highlight that the Polish spatial planning system is currently undergoing change. The change is being implemented in phases. The first regulation came into the force in September 2023, and the next one will come into the force on 1st January 2025 and 1st January 2026. I will therefore discuss the old and the new order. In the old order, existing one, spatial planning in the community includes study of spatial development conditions and directions, and second act, local spatial development plan. The study is an expression of the municipality's perspective spatial policy. Firstly, preparation of the study is obligatory. Secondly, the study is prepared for whole municipality. Thirdly, the findings contained in the study are binding for the commune authorities when preparing local plans. And fourthly, the study is not a local legal act. It means that it cannot be the basis for decision for individuals. The study is a comprehensive and large document. The plan contains precise and detailed guidelines for land use, development, and building conditions, precise and detailed enough to allow a construction design to be drawn up on their basis. A local plan does not have to cover the entire area of the municipality, and the local plan is an act of local law. Provisions of the plan are normative and have the value of binding provisions within the area of operation of the authorities which establish them. The public is involved in very long procedure for adapting the plan, and the plan is a direct basis for issuing the building permit decision. Local planning in Poland is optional. Local plans are prepared by the municipality on the basis of needs. There are only a few cases where the adoption of a local plan is obligatory. While the adoption is not mandatory, what happens to this remaining area not covered by local plans? In the absence of local plan, the determination of manners of development and the conditions for the development and plan shall take place by way of decision on the conditions for development and land use. We called it location decision. I'd like to emphasize that the planning principle is the local plan, and in its absence, the location decision. The local plan takes preference over location decision. In practice, unfortunately, it looks different. The decision has become the main tool. Why? Because few municipalities have enacted local plans. Regulation I'm referring to has been in force since 2004, and it introduced fundamental changes to the previous one. So the legislator decided that the local plans adopted before were no longer in force. In practice, old plans have expired and new plans have largely not been adopted, and the chaos has been created. According to the data of Central Statistic Office in Poland, we have only around 31% of the area of the country covered by local plans. So it's not a lot. For the rest of the area of our territory, the location decisions are necessary. The main conditions of issuing such decision is fulfillment of good neighborhood conditions. It means that the new development should correspond to the urban and architectural characteristic of the existing buildings. The aim is to continue the development. So the development should look like on the picture on the left, greater than on the picture on the right. And here is the Poland. It should not look like this one, but such reality we have. Under the new law, the study is cancelled. The legislator felt that the study proved to be an insufficient instrument, and I completely agree in this case. The place of the study will be the general plan, but the study shall remain in force until the date of entry into force new municipalities general plan, but no later than 31 December of 2025. General plan is a document with a very concise form and small number of findings. Firstly, the preparation of it is obligatory. Secondly, it's prepared for the whole territory of the municipality. Thirdly, its findings are binding for municipalities when drawing up the local plan. And fourthly, the general plan is a local legal act. Here we can see the fundamental difference with the study. When it comes to the local spatial development plan after the amendment, it remains mostly unchanged. The principle of optional preparation of the local plan still remains, and existing plans remains in force until the date of entry into the force the new local plans. According to new law, the conditions for issuing the location decision, legislator add new precise. The land is located in the area of housing complexions. Areas of complexions shall be designed with the framework of existing development. Will this change of law help us as a country? In my opinion, the change of the law was necessary. I'm not sure if it's deep enough. The current method of giving out the conditions of building and site development results in uncontrolled sprawl of development. Linking the location decisions to the municipality's general plan is intended to prevent development from being located in the middle of the nowhere. So it should prevent the urban sprawl. Now, the space in Poland more often looks like one in the picture on the right, like field urbanism, the development of agricultural plots with a typical shape, long and narrow, as you can see here. I hope it will look like in the picture on the left more often with plants. Whether this method will prove successful, we will see in a few years. So that brings me to the end of my part. Let me summarize what we looked at. We went through principles of locating new building development, spatial planning in the community, and localization decision. In conclusion, I'd like to share with you a few thoughts. Poland has only 30% of country covered by local plans, and most areas are developed on the basis of location decisions. This causes chaos in our space. Urban planners claim that such chaos is eternal from the perspective of human life when it comes to its length. Spatial planning, in my opinion, is crucial because the space for development is a limited good. The way we use this space directly affects the quality of our health and life. I would like to see a reality process in which, firstly, we have planned and developed areas with roads and communication before the development. I hope that in the future, spatial order and sustainable development will become the basis for spatial planning in Poland, and that the principles for the locating of new building will be applied. Thank you. Okay, I think that now we can give the floor to our audience. Now we are looking for any remarks, questions, and comments at the Q&A session. I will check the chat option, and I got one directly a direct question to us. I think that's to all of us. What are the biggest problems, challenges in urban planning and development in your country? Maybe Martin and Zdeňka would like to answer.
Okay, if you can go first.
You're a bigger authority, I think, on this.
Okay, so I have no prepared answer for this. So I don't know if it is the biggest problem in my country. As I conclude my presentation with hesitation if planning is really needed, because a good planning is needed, but who is, let's say, what's the possibility that we have good planners? Because we had a lot of outcomes of very bad planning around us. And for example, in my municipality, I have a master plan with this rounded stamp from the associate professor from the faculty of technical faculty, and the plan is totally bad with new development in the middle of fields, etc. So I think maybe some coordination of planning, and then responsibility of all the professions, including geographers. Most of them are sitting in public bodies, and they are responsible for the development of the territory. And sometimes they are only looking to, let's say, legislative procedures and not the professional, let's say, professional and evidence-based then solutions. Yes, so sometimes it's happened that these very nice students, after the graduation, they transfer to something like only officers who take care about the legal point, and sometimes the legislature is not so good to produce nice environment and settlements. So, and I have one example that it is true, because the competences of these very small municipalities, which is different from your countries, are too high, and they need some at least micro-regional coordination on the level of, let's say, districts or something like that. So I can perceive that this is the most pronounced problem, I think, 20.
I'm not sure if Martin ends. We lost the connection, so maybe we will go with this answer to Zdeňka waiting from Martin.
Yeah, well, biggest challenges, there are a lot. What I wanted to touch on was the issue of how much we regulate and the scale of what for which units we regulate. Because one challenge that we have with our current master plan in Prague is that the regulation is for such small units that it's basically impossible to change anything effectively. The current master plan is already, it was done in 1998, which means that the basis on it was even like 5 years before that, because of course there was the process of its coming into effect. So it's a pretty old document, and the way the city looks now and the current tendencies are very different from what was then and what is now. And because it is such strong regulation for very small areas, like basically in some areas individual parcels, it's very, very difficult to develop the city, because now you have to change the master plan for very small things. And connected to this issue from my perspective is the length of the process, because we have some changes of the master plan that are in the running for 15 years and there hasn't been an agreement on this change. It's ridiculous, and there are several hundreds of ongoing changes of this master plan, so it's a huge mess of nobody really knows what it is now currently in the plan. And so it's a big challenge from my perspective. And also the new master plan that we are developing now, it's already been 10 years in development, and there is always, for me, the issue of, yes, we want to discuss it with the stakeholders, and yes, we want to give everyone an option to join in and to own this master plan. But in the current legislative environment for the urban planning, this just means that it's really going to take 15 years. And at the end, it's just that one person or one specific institution decides to block it, and it doesn't need to happen. So it's a very long process with uncertain end. And that for me is one of the biggest challenges, that we are just not actionable towards current and new aspects of urban planning, new challenges. You know, the world has really changed in the several past years. So for me, that's one of the major challenges.
Thank you very much. It's really terrifying, so long process. And what about Italy? What are the biggest problems and challenges in your urban planning?
It's quite a difficult question. Yes, maybe, but it's only because I'm quite influenced from the latest news. I don't know if you have read it, that like Milan is the worst city for pollution. I think more or less, not in the world, but because there is also New Delhi, but it's the third worst city in the world, no? But I don't know, when I was studying the urban regulation of the municipality of Milan, it said it's quite good anyway, because we are trying to do lots of things, no? They want to reduce the number of cars, and we are doing it, so we have lots of public transport. And I don't know, the municipality of Milan is member of C40, so we are trying to do a lot. So maybe which is the real problem? Yes, there is lots of pollution, but it's not only regarding the city of Milan. This regards Lombardy region, no? And so this it's quite clear, the problem that we were telling before regarding fragmentary. I don't know, when you are to face with the big problems like pollution, climate change, and so on, maybe this idea of legal framework at different levels, probably it doesn't work, because we can do a lot, like municipality of Milan, but the problem is the region, the Lombardy region, no? So maybe the biggest problem is the lack of coordination, and also the lack of, I don't know, understand what will happen in 10 years, 5 years, in a strategic way, in a coordinated way, no? And so yes, this is quite a big problem regarding the urban plan. And probably we have to rethink the division of powers regarding state and regions.
Thank you very much. When it comes to Poland, in my opinion, the suburbanization process is the biggest problem, this urban sprawl, and the problem with having the development, I would say, everywhere, really everywhere, also at the agricultural lands and landscape. It's really challenging for us. Okay, I think that our audience have now the last possibility to make questions to give us. Maybe someone like to speak.
Oh yeah, if I could.
Sure.
Thank you.
Michał, please.
Thank you very much. So first, maybe it's too early to pose the question. I have to think over all the stuff we're talking about. So first, I've got one request. Could you make your presentation available for us, for the participants? It will be very valuable. And a part of this, I have two questions for our Czech colleagues. As Professor mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I realize, you said that the price is the only criterion for selecting offers in the procurement procedure for master plans. I'd like to get the confirmation from you. And the second question is about the interplay between regional plans and master plans in Czech Republic. Could you comment on it? What should be enacted first, or what is supposed to be taken into consideration in the second? So, what is more important, or what is less important, or maybe subject? Is regional plan somehow binding or somehow impacting local or master plans, or not any links at all between these two documents?
Zdenka, may I ask about answering this question?
All right. I'm not sure if I understood the first question. You were asking about whether the price is a requirement for the selection of those who create studies and master plans. Is that it?
Professor, that is the only criterion of selecting these.
Okay, so perhaps Martin can then
So
add.
I'd like to make certain whether there's a stipulation by law, or is there simply customary not to include other criteria?
What I can say from my perspective is, in general, the law of public contracts is what guides this process in the Czech Republic. And there you have the rules that you have to set criteria. And then in this law, you have several requirements that it has to be economical, it has to be environmentally friendly, and all these different requirements, which are not exactly easy to understand what exactly it means. So there is an option to add other criteria to the process of selecting someone for a public contract, for example, for the development of a new master plan. You have the option, but of course it's a lot more challenging than just saying, okay, economical means the cheapest. So that's the kind of safest option from my point of view. But legally you can, and at my institute, that's what we do with public contracts. I add criteria when it comes to the CV, like number of years in a certain area that you have worked on, or referential projects that you have to submit in your portfolio, or the requirements for the team that is going to do this master plan, that you have to have people with these and these qualities and experiences. So it's possible to use, but in my opinion, the most common practice in the Republic, especially in the smaller municipalities, is, okay, let's just say the cheapest wins, and then of course you get challenges that come with that. And as for the second question, just very quickly, I think Martin would be better to answer. For example, as for the regional plan and the municipal plan, they are hierarchical when it comes to the legal framework. So it means that the master plan should be in line with the regional plan, as the law says, but the interpretation of what in line means is quite vague, and it depends on the situation. Also, what should be a part of the regional plan and what should be a part of the master plan is quite vaguely and generally set in the legislature. So it's not very easy always to find out whether it really is in line or not, but there is this requirement that it should be legally. But whether it is enforced and evaluated, that's a different question, I think, globally for the Czech Republic. So maybe Martin can add to what I said.
Unfortunately, we lost the connection, internet connection with Martin, because we are texting to each other. So no Martin here at the moment. So thank you, Zdeňka, very much for the answer. I think that we are at the end of our time. So if I may conclude, the better plan space, the better life for us, and the planning as a process is really crucial for us as individuals, as communities, and as a planet. I would like to thank you now very much for our speakers and for our audience for participation. Thank you for being present, for your attention, and I'd like to end the seminar and wish you a nice day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Karolina. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.